Today we're going to be talking about the Hinokami Kagura's history and origin. We've seen our hero Tanjiro Kamado performing classy moves all the time once he grasped the water-breathing technique. But the moment we all fell in love with him, and when we realized that this is animation that cannot get any better, is when Tanjiro saved Nezuko by performing sun-breathing technique. The sun-breathing technique is actually the first one to ever be created, and has been long forgotten since the death of Yoriichi Tsukikuni. Before we move on, the anime adaptation hasn't fully explained it, but we're about to now, so spoiler alert. Tanjiro only had a glimpse of his father performing this technique called Hinokami Kagura, a ritual dance performed by the Kamado family every year, from dusk till dawn, preserving it up till now. It was not until Tanjiro met Shinjiro Rengoku, the ex-Flame Hashira, that it was revealed to him that his breathing style is called sun breathing. All other styles, including water, moon, flame, thunder, wind, and stone, are derived from this one. Tanjiro's father, Tanjiro Kamado, was the last person to be familiar to this style, and before he could pass it on to his son, illness took over him. Tanjiro had still seen him perform it every year until he was alive, and Tanjiro was always amazed how this technique allows users to never exhaust themselves. Sun breathing was initially created with 12 forms. The first one is dance, in which the user performs a singular downwards vertical slash in a circular arc motion.
Hinokami Kagura! Flame dance!
Dancing Flash is its modified version, created by Tanjiro, who combined a thunderclap and flash technique of thunder breathing with the dance of sun breathing. Moving on to the second form, Clear Blue Sky, in which the user spins and twists their upper body in a circular motion, resulting in a 360 slash. Tanjiro used it in the Mugen Train arc to behead the demon after multiple failed attempts. Yoriichi sure knew how to create the deadliest and flashy moves.
He sure did.
Third one is Raging Sun, which Yoriichi created to add defensive upper hand in a fight. The user releases 2 successive arc slashes around their body to shield from incoming attacks. Tanjiro's been seen using this technique in the Entertainment District arc to defend himself from Daki's multiple attacks. Burning Bones Summer Sun is the form in which the user shields himself from frontal attacks by releasing a singular slash, utilizing a spiraling motion that extends from the front. Tanjiro used it against Daki when he wanted to gain the upper hand while shielding from her attacks and launching his counterattack at the same time. Fifth form is Setting Sun Transformation. The user backflips in the air, then releases a singular horizontal slash that aims to behead the enemy. Next up is Solar Heat Gaze, the 6th form of the sun-breathing style in which the user runs forward, attempting to deliver an attack covered in a heat haze, which hides the true length and location of the blade, making it an unexpected strike. Beneficent Radiance is the form where the user spirals mid-air while performing a swirling slash that surrounds and hits the target. 8th form is Sunflower Thrust, in which the user performs a single thrust using the tip of their sword to strike the enemy. A user performing large-scaled multiple slashes in a continuous motion to land a hit on multiple enemies or a singular target is the Dragon Sun Halo Head Dance. Yoriichi's 10th form of sun-breathing style involves flipping in the air behind the enemy and unleashing a single vertical slash in a circular motion. To swiftly cut the target in half is the famous Fire Wheel. We've seen Tanjiro attempting to use it against Daki, but she was too fast for it. Although 1 second late, and there would have been 2 Dakis. Form number 11 is the Fake Rainbow. During the fight with Daki, do you remember the scene where Daki cut through Tanjiro's neck, and we all thought that a catastrophe had happened, but suddenly Tanjiro disappeared and reappeared for another attack unharmed? This was Fake Rainbow, where he performed high-speed twists and rotations that created afterimages, hence he evaded the attack. Flame Dance is the form where the user starts with a vertical slash, leading into a horizontal slash right away, making it a deadly 2-combo strike. We've seen Tanjiro using it as well. This is the 12th and final form of the sun-breathing style. Or is it? Nope.
There's more?
There's another one. The 13th form, which is basically a compilation of all the 12 forms discussed earlier, used in repetitive succession to increase the accuracy and agility. Yoriichi created this 13th form specifically for killing Muzan, or Michael Jackson as most of the people say. Previous 12 forms aimed to destroy Muzan's 12 vital organs that contain 7 hearts and 5 brains that move freely inside his body. Thus, the 13th one is to totally finish him off. Let us discuss how sun-breathing technique of Yoriichi got passed on to our hero Tanjiro. Yoriichi lived nearly 500 years ago during the Sengoku era, which is called the Golden Age of Demon Slayers. He was calm, humble, and a conserved person since childhood. He would usually keep his feelings to himself. The only one who could read his unchanging facial expressions was his wife, Uta. Yoriichi loved her more than anyone else in the world, but she was killed by a demon when she was pregnant with their first child. Since then, he would always try to find happiness in other people's smiles. Yoriichi always believed that even though the Demon Slayers are stronger than ever, a generation would come that would surpass them. He would often say this to Michikatsu, his older brother who was like an idol to him. Michikatsu had aimed to become the strongest samurai, while Yoriichi aimed to become the second best. He even kept his brother's flute with him after Michikatsu ran away from home as a memory of the brother he idolized so much. Michikatsu ultimately became a demon and is known as Kokushibo, the upper rank 1 demon. Yoriichi is history's strongest demon slayer ever. When he discovered this unique art of breathing, he tried to share it with other Hashiras, but no one could come close to match him. So he had to break it down to various forms, and that's how flame, wind, water, and other forms came into being. He too was born with a Demon Slayer mark, a mysterious marking that Demon Slayers can awaken under specific conditions. It was during the Sengoku era when progenitors of the first ever breathing styles all manifested a mark on their bodies. These marks often appear as birthmarks on the face or body of Demon Slayers that resemble the crests of demons. Yoriichi could also access the transparent world, a supernatural ability accessible to only ones that have awakened their Demon Slayer marks. It allows them to perceive other living beings as if they were transparent. Most notably, it allows them to perceive the flow of blood, breathing, muscular contractions, and joint movements of their own body as well as creatures they are looking at. This was the way they could look into their enemies' bodies and predict their movements to evade attacks and to search for openings to launch their attacks. The user can perceive the world in slow motion, making his movements, speed, and reflexes much faster. He was strong enough to be able to corner Muzan and overpower him in an instant, and he had him on the verge of death until he managed to escape. Muzan was deeply petrified by this encounter, and would often refer to him as a monster. Before his death at the age of 85, he encountered his own brother, who was now the upper rank 1. Despite the advanced age, he was able to slit his brother's throat before he finally died standing up, unscratched. Kukuboshi himself admitted that if he was attacked with another swing, he would not have survived. An ancestor of Tanjiro, Sumiyoshi, who had similar appearance and personality traits like Tanjiro, was attacked by a demon. Luckily, he was rescued by the first breathing user, Yoriichi. Since then, he became close acquaintances of Yoriichi and would often spend time together. Yoriichi once performed all the breathing forms in front of Sumiyoshi, and he memorized them. Knowing he has no children and will not be marrying anyone after Yuta, he promised to keep sun-breathing style alive in his lineage, the Kamado family. As he was not taught, he could only try to recreate from what he had seen. Therefore, he combined them and created a dance, the Hinokami Kagura. To make sure it stays in the lineage, he made it a yearly ritual to be practiced. This way, years later, it was taught and preserved, until Tanjiro Kamado. The earrings that Muzan still remembers to this day were also given to Sumiyoshi by Yoriichi, and they were too passed on as a symbol of gratitude to the first user. Tanjiro was also born with a mark and had similar appearances like Tanjiro. He was a quiet, loving, and forgiving person. Even though he was not a demon slayer, he was incredibly strong. He was shown to slay a 9-foot-tall bear without even a Nichirin sword. Although, that's nothing when you veil to the powers of sun-breathing style, but his disease left him with little options. Even so, he was strong enough to be on par with demon slayers. He too could access the transparent world. This is how the sun-breathing technique was preserved, by transforming it into the Hinokami Kagura. Over the years, the concept of sun-breathing style died, and by the time Tanjiro saw Hinokami Kagura, he did not think of it as a fighting style. That's why he mastered the water-breathing technique. which in itself is a very strong style. This is proved when Tanjiro won multiple fights by relying on water-breathing style alone. Although, as he began to encounter stronger opponents, he realized that he needs to be much stronger in order to avenge his family, who was killed by Muzan. He focused to sharpening his water style until his battle with Rui, when he finally realized that water-breathing style is not enough for him. Having a near-death experience himself and seeing Nezuko in pain, Tanjiro was taken back to the memories of him watching his father performing Hinokami Kagura. Although Tanjiro tried his best in gathering information about Hinokami Kagura, he did not find anything, as no one other than the Kamado family knew about its origin. Using that one memory, Tanjiro realized that the answer he was looking for was always in front of him. Hinokami Kagura was not an ordinary style. He used that memory to replicate what his father used to do and succeeded in defeating Rui. Initially, he thought that it was some style his ancestor came up with, something similar to the flame-breathing style. Tanjiro's body was not ready for it yet, so whenever he would try to use it, it would immediately exhaust him. Therefore, he would only rely on it when he runs out of options, like how we've seen in the Mugen Train arc. Later, in the Entertainment District arc, we've seen Tanjiro finally adapting to Hinokami Kagura and using it more frequently. Hinokami Kagura is basically a weaker version of sun-breathing style, so the full-powered sun-breathing style doesn't exist. However, Tanjiro witnessed Yoriichi perform all 13 sun-breathing styles through his great-grandfather Sumiyoshi's memories. He noticed that Hinokami Kagura had many extra movements that were not originally intended. Therefore, he tried to fix them by reshaping it exactly like Yoriichi used to perform. This way, Tanjiro succeeded in reviving the sun-breathing style in its purest form, which turned out to be much stronger than Hinokami Kagura. That's all for this video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on our next one. Until then, see ya!